2 minutes late. Think we can handle it, Gabe?
I think we can get this done.
Okay.
All right, it's Wednesday, June 12th. We'll call to order the City of Brainerd Personnel and Finance Committee meeting. Start with introductions.
Alderman at Large, Kevin Stunek.
Tim Holmes, Brainerd Fire.
Connie Hillman, City Finance Director.
Sean Meadow, Brainerd Wellness Committee.
Jesse Dean, City Engineer.
James Kronvik, Community Development Director.
Eric Charpentier, Executive Director, HRA.
Chris Schubert, HR Director.
Nick Broyle, City Administrator.
And Gabe Johnson, Chair of the committee. We have 9 items, and Kara made it.
And Kara Terry.
Kara Terry, Ward 1, is present. We have 9 items on the agenda. The first one to consider is to consider a request from the Employee Wellness Committee for the Employee Appreciation Event. Come on up, Sean. Make sure that mic's on.
I see a green light. Is it on? You need my name and address?
No, that's a council thing.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, it's that time of year again for the Wellness Committee picnic on September 19th. We're requesting that we go 2 hours again from 11:30 to 1:30. The committee thought that worked well to be able to get people there and then back. We're planning to have it at Memorial Park this year.
And I so move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? So it's same as last year, at Memorial instead of Lum, but you'll be cooking some meat, 2 hours off for the day. All the employees come in and hopefully receive some awards.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Next up is authorize the fire department to order a fire truck chassis. Tim or Connie, who's taking this? Tim?
Yeah, so this request is just to authorize us to start the process of purchasing a fire truck. The main component that we need to order now is the chassis. Our hope is to get in the queue with Freightliner, so when they open their ordering process in September, that will be in line for that. With the new emission standards and the shortness or shortage of vehicles, if we don't get this process started now, it's unlikely that we'll receive a truck until 2026. So this request is, the estimate is $149,000 for the chassis. That is part of the overall cost of the fire truck. This is a 2025 capital improvement budgeted item, but like I said, in order to get it started, and the likelihood of getting it in 2025 would be to start now.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd just add that it's not only Brainerd that's facing the shortage of vehicles, but I know the county is also trying to get squad cars and all of that. So it's a statewide thing. So the earlier we can jump on it, the better.
All right, and then the 550 to 575, is that what we have in the capital budget in 2025?
Yeah, that would be the new amount. It was originally, I believe, 465,000.
So we've got about 100 grand since we last bought one.
Yeah, since we last looked at that number.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, request guidance on requests for sale of city-owned parcels. Jesse.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we've been approached by individuals regarding some city-owned parcels, and we're just looking for guidance, most specifically on parcels that aren't like actively being marketed by the EDA. So we have a few different options here to be considered. One would be, and we're looking at specifically like vacant lots, so nothing of any substantial value. One option would be just starting the discussion with the interested party with the estimated market value, which people interpret as being pretty low on the county site, seeing if that's something that's in interest of them, and then come to the council and see if that would be an acceptable price point. We could start off with just going right to an appraiser, hiring an appraiser, depending on the lot and the size and the characteristics. It could be anywhere from 500 to over 2,000, depending on the size and characteristics. Then we could come back to the council, ask for direction on what to initially offer the party. Takes a little bit longer, a little bit more expense. The other option would be potentially offering the property to the EDA and see if the EDA would be interested in marketing the property. Probably a little less desirable if we have an interested party, but that would be an option as well. So we're just looking for guidance on how to approach these when somebody comes asking about one of our city-owned parcels.
So I have a couple questions, I guess, like what, the people who have approached you, what type of lots are they looking at and what are they wanting to do on the lots?
So the one specifically that we're looking at, it's just a vacant lot. We've heard two different things about what their plans are with it. One could potentially be that they own the adjacent lot. They have plans to expand. Might be just that they want to have the adjacent lot for, like, let's say it's a residential lot and they own the adjacent one that they want to protect their space, expand their space, and they don't want a neighbor that close to them. So there's a handful of different reasons why somebody would want an adjacent lot. Some might want to, like if it's just a residential lot, that they're looking to build a home on it. So
I'm aware of the hypotheticals. I'm wondering what's in reality, what have we been approached? James?
Yeah, I'll add to that. I know the one is extension of 13
County Road 45.
County Road 45. So business is looking at a city-owned property right next to it. There are utilities that run on one end of it, so we had to check with Brainerd Public Utilities to see if there's issues with that. It seems like at least a portion of the land that would be out of a utility easement, a good portion of it. This lot, I believe, is probably a part of one of the first, I guess, plats of our Brainerd Industrial Park, more on the west side, not the new TC Drive Industrial Park. So it's a lot that was left over. There's power, some large power lines that are running, on the very end of the property, but pretty usable property still, a pretty large property. They talked about expansion, could also just be, added parking lot as well. So, it's a little bit larger one for consideration. That one possibly could go to the EDA, for consideration. The other person that's approached us is actually, it's a Baxter lot that's along the river. There's a pipe that was rerouted or is being rerouted, kind of one of the main sanitary lines, and it's this property is really no longer needed for that. It's probably a 50 to 100 foot wide property, doesn't have a lot of use to it, I guess. A home could be put on it in Baxter, but the adjacent property owner is looking to add that because his garage is right on the property line there. So I don't think Brainerd Public Utilities is interested in selling the entire lot, but just a portion of that one. So those are really the two lots that people have currently approached us with. One of them could potentially support another business or business expansion, and the EDA, could do their purchase and development agreement to make sure that happens. The other one that's in Baxter is really limited on what the use can be.
Other questions?
I'd make a motion to go with staff's recommendation on alternative 2, as described on the screen.
I'll second that, but I have a question.
Okay, we have a motion in a second. Go ahead.
So do we need a blanket approach to all? Because it sounds like there are two different scenarios or situations that each one has a different what makes sense. Does that make sense?
Correct. If there's some outlying situations, like there's a very complicated situation, like a very large lot that could potentially be a pretty large development, that might be something where we have a discussion with the council if this is something that we think the EDA would have some pretty high value in having some pretty significant commercial development in. But if we're talking about some, run-of-the-mill smaller lots, that would be something that we could just as well get appraisals for.
So I think I'm in favor of this. I don't see what it hurts, besides maybe spending a couple $1,000s. But I think like if somebody just wants to double the size of their backyard, yeah, we should just maybe not even sell them the land. We'll just hold on to it. But I think if a business like an industrial use is looking to get an additional 50 feet of backyard to expand their operations, I don't think we should really start at the appraised amount. I think we should, encourage our businesses to expand and maybe give them a better deal. But I think right now as a starting point, hiring an appraiser and going from there is
See where we're at.
fair enough, yeah.
And then obviously that one property that's on 45, if it did go through the EDA, that's where you're able to do the purchase and development agreements to write stipulations that, they have to do something with it. So, that'd be a potential for that one, versus the one that's on the Mississippi River.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, same sign, that motion carries. Next up, number 4, authorize hiring Brenda Hartnett as a part-time administrative specialist. Chris?
Yes. Good morning. The council authorized staff to begin the hiring process for a part-time administrative support employee back in May. 8 applications were received and 2 individuals were interviewed for the position. Staff recommends hiring Brenda Hartnett as our part-time administrative specialist, effective June 18th at step 1.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up, approval of a memorandum of agreement for Juneteenth. Chris?
Okay. Back in 2023, the Minnesota legislators enacted Juneteenth. At the time, we didn't have enough time to negotiate with the union, so we just paid everyone for Juneteenth in 2023. This year, based on council direction, we went back to the unions and asked for memorandums of agreement for those entities that had already settled contracts for this year. Attached is a memorandum of agreement signed by the United Steelworkers Union that represents our lonely hydro employee at this point. Just asking to get approval of that and authorized signatures. On a side note, there are still 3 unions that have not approved MOAs, and we'll be discussing that in closed session on Monday night.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Number 6, consider a memorandum of agreement with IBEW Administrative Support Union for the Transit Operations Specialist position. Chris?
So attached in your packet is a signed memorandum of agreement from the IBEW union for our transit operations specialist position. We are asking that the council approve that MOA. In addition, we're asking to slightly delay the hiring process for this position as the current transit coordinator needs some time off in September, and we felt that it wouldn't be good to hire a full-time employee and then immediately need to have that person be on their own. So in lieu of that, we're asking to hire a temporary position to help with immediate needs. So a couple different recommended actions there.
Can I do one motion?
I think so.
So I'll make a motion to both approve the MOA with the IBEW Administrative Support Union and authorize staff to hire a temporary part-time employee, both of those as outlined in the recommended actions.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Next up, consider approval of a separation agreement. Chris?
So we have been working with an employee in the LELS union for a separation agreement. The employee is Officer Ron Myers. At this point, you should have received a confidential email from our city attorney describing the situation in more detail. At this point, we do not have a signed separation agreement from the union and Mr. Myers, but we are anticipating to get it before the packet goes out. So details
Go
were
ahead.
included in the
Okay,
email
I
from
also move the
Christian.
motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agreement. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Next up, discussion of a request from Habitat to use the statewide affordable housing aid.
I will start this off.
Okay.
So, in 2023, we received 96,000, that is a typo right there, $96,242 for the SAHA statewide affordable housing aid. We're also supposed to receive the same amount in 2024. And then the funds must be spent by December 31st of the 4th year after they're received. So we need to spend the $2023 by December 31st, 2027. I included information on the website regarding the SAHA and what it can be used for. The city has received a request from Habitat. I will let James kind of touch base on that a little bit more about details.
Yeah, I'll just expand on that. So there's a couple lots that Habitat is kind of getting ready for construction. One of them, they're currently in construction on Pine Street. There's definitely some unforeseen things that happened with that one, so they're pretty, I guess, underwater on that construction based on the high water table in that area and having to connect to city services. So they've had a request. They listed the 3 properties in there. I think it was for $88,000 of that $96,000 the city's received. You just kind of wanted to note that Habitat really has been the one contractor within the city that has been infilling, reclamating some of these properties within the city, which definitely meets some of the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. I also wanted to note that they do a good job of kind of meeting the character of the neighborhoods as well, adding shutters, different siding types. So with that Habitat, Eric can maybe expand, would be an eligible use of the funds.
Sure, I can expand on kind of the qualifying projects. Certainly, financial support to nonprofit affordable housing providers in their mission to provide safe, dignified, and affordable housing is one of the qualifying projects that the state has outlined. There are a number of qualifying projects. Some of that could be emergency rental assistance for households if the city is interested in doing that. You can look at construction, acquisition, and rehab, and demo of other structures to then be rebuilt upon, similar to what we've done with the HRA with the scattered site replacement programs. You can actually look, because we are in outstate Minnesota, you can actually look to create some market rate rental housing as well. You do have to hit a couple of other metrics if you're going to look at doing that. I think general guiding force number one is the city is going to continue to get these funds, maybe not at the same level at $96,000 per year. That is locked in for the first 2 years. But the state has stated that these cities and municipalities across the state will continue to receive funding kind of in perpetuity for this. So as this committee and the council has to come to the decision on what they'd like to do. It doesn't have to be the same thing every year. Certainly the HRA is happy to help in finding projects for this. We do have a local housing trust fund at the county level that you could certainly entertain moving a portion or all of those funds there as well. Crow Wing County is, at least for their 2023 funds, did put that into the local housing trust fund. I believe that is their intention going forward. So there are a number of projects that could qualify here. Certainly Habitat has been a great partner for the city, certainly through the HRA as well. They do have a known product and are able to deliver on that product. I think if you're looking at breaking it out to a few different homes, that is certainly spreading the wealth, which is a good thing. But it certainly will become, it's the decision of this politic body and the council to decide where they'd like to have those dollars rest. And I'm happy to answer any questions. This is the first year that this is rolled out, so there are still some questions that I have unanswered. The good news is our former administrator is heading this program under her direction, so we've got a good outlet to get those answers from them, and I'm continuing to try to get some more clarity on that.
A couple questions. So Habitat is a nonprofit in our community. Did other nonprofits have the ability, the information to also throw their name in the hat for consideration for these dollars?
I would believe that they would be potentially aware of it, but as a city, we have not done any type of advertising or anything like that. So Habitat was really the first one to have approached us.
Yep.
If we were to allocate these funds to the Housing Trust Fund on maybe a more regular basis, would Habitat be able to access the funds through the EDA and have the EDA manage that portion of the work?
So, clarification, if it were to go into the Housing Trust Fund?
Yes, is that what I said? I don't know what I said.
No, so you had asked if they were to be allocated to the Housing Trust Fund, which again is also an allowable use of these state funds. They would be eligible and allowed to apply for Housing Trust Fund support or dollars. And currently one of the questions that I have outlying is, the programs that we administer through the Crow Wing County HRA Housing Trust Fund are loans. They're revolving loans. I believe the intent of these dollars is for grants. And so I've got to currently a question out to Minnesota Housing to say, hey, do we need to grant these dollars, or can they be rolled into our loan programs that are currently out there? But short answer, yes, they can apply, but we do have a rather long waiting list for funds at the Crow Wing County Housing Trust Fund side of things. They might not be able to qualify as quickly, depending on how quickly we can replenish our housing trust fund.
So we haven't advertised this money as being available. Has anybody from staff talked to people from Habitat about this money?
Kevin approached us about it, so we did talk to him about it. We didn't approach them, I guess, on behalf
Did
of the money.
Eric, though?
Did not, so.
You did not talk to
So
Kevin Belkey about this?
What prompted this was Cass County reached out to Habitat because they do have some builds going in Cass County currently
Yeah.
and have offered their funding to Cass County. So then at that point, Kevin did ask me if I have anything to do with Saha funding. I said, we don't. And at this point, Brainerd has not spoken about it, but I referred him over to staff.
We've talked about it a number of times. We just haven't spent it yet.
Correct. Or had any decision-making is, I guess, what I would say.
So I guess we have the three options. Do we want to cut the check to Habitat, or do we want to advertise it? Or we could do any number of, it's really broad in the law. It's not.
Right.
Just an additional comment. They're asking for 88,000, but it looks like they still have a shortfall in the Pine Street house. So they could potentially take the whole 2023 allocation to make up the complete difference.
Well, yeah, we could double it. They'd take $180,000. It's just free money, right?
So I sort of struggle with this just because we haven't necessarily offered it out to other developers. I am also in favor of contributing it to the Housing Trust Fund and being a partner in that, you know? So it makes me a little nervous, might not be the right word, but just giving it to Habitat without doing our due diligence to other providers. So I don't know that I could do any of those options if I wanted to say designate it to the Housing Trust Fund.
And I don't like the trust fund option. No, I would rather give it to Habitat or get an actual house built in Brainerd, right?
Yeah.
And I like the Habitat proposal, and I would want to give the money to Habitat, but I think out of fairness, I think out of using public dollars, I think maybe we should advertise this out there for proposals for a month and then come back. And I have a hard time believing a developer with a better reputation and track record than Habitat's going to come forward. I imagine Habitat will get the money, so it maybe seem like a waste of time, but I think, just out of appropriately using public dollars, we should advertise it.
I can go along with that for this allocation, so I move option 2 to advertise available funds and consider options at a future meeting.
I second that.
Any other discussion on this topic? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Last one. This is a long one, guys. It's 11:23. We're taking our time today. We're not consider setting a workshop for the 2025 capital planning, Connie.
So we're a little behind on the capital planning for this year. Usually we like to do it in April and March. So we're with the audit and whatever, we are a little bit behind. We think it would be a good idea to have the infrastructure capital plan be looked at the same time, as the infrastructure plays a major role in the debt service planning, which is next. So historically, we've used assessments to pay for infrastructure projects, and the city engineer and public works director has been looking into alternative funding sources to pay for infrastructure projects. And we feel like it would be a good workshop to have a good opportunity to discuss the alternative funding options as well as the 2025 capital plan. Staff is proposing either the week of June 24th or the week of July 8th. And we just recommended the 25th or the 26th at 6 p.m.
Well, those are both the week of the 24th.
Correct.
I think when you're getting into July 8th, a lot of people are on vacation and doing things, so I would go for the other option myself.
So the 25th,
What days of the week are those?
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Monday and Tuesday, I do believe.
Tuesday and 25th is Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, I
26th is
meant to say the 24th or whatever you guys want.
24th is
It doesn't
Monday,
really
25th
matter
is
to me.
Tuesday.
Wednesdays work better for me.
I cannot do the 24th because I'll be coming back from Spokane, so
Okay.
it would have to be 25th or 26th.
26th works for you, Kevin?
What time? 6?
6.
The
Make that motion.
26th
Fit it
will
in.
also be the next PNF meeting as well, just so you know, you'll have a meeting at 11 and then a meeting at 6.
Will lunch be provided?
No, because you'll have to, we won't pay you to stay here.
Man,
We're locked in.
All right,
26th.
let's make a motion, so Jeff likes how we did it.
Okay, I make a motion that we meet on the 26th to discuss what Connie told us at 6 o'clock.
I'll second
And
that.
to have our PNF meeting at 11. How's that?
Sounds good.
Second.
The same day.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to have a PNF meeting at 11 o'clock on that Wednesday and a capital improvement plan
With overtime to be discussed
workshop
for us.
at 6 PM and lunch to be determined.
For you, chief. Only for you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Anything else to come before the committee?
Motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned.
Happy Wednesday.